This is Tokyo, the capital of Japan, home to Godzilla, and the city that takes the concept of the concrete jungle to a whole new level. Despite being closed off to most of the world for a very long time, Tokyo's emergence as one of the most important cities on the planet has been extremely impactful, and without a doubt, it has had an effect on your life. But in order for us to understand just how important Tokyo's economic impact has been, we must first take a look at its history. Welcome to the economy of Tokyo. Tokyo, like many cities, started off as a simple fishing village, formerly under its previous name of Edo. The city was at the heart of the Edo period between 1600 and 1868 in Japan, which saw many isolationist policies adopted by the Tokugawa shogunate, which was in short a feudal military government that controlled Japan. During this Edo period, Tokyo emerged as the place to do business in Japan. Its population swelled, and it is estimated to have passed the 1 million mark back in the 1720s. And with the city being the economic hub of a very centralized nation, due not just to the military government, but also due to the geography, as Japan is not much more than a mountain range in the Pacific Ocean, Tokyo solidified its economic and cultural importance within Japan. Now, Tokyo, or Edo, only became Tokyo, meaning the eastern capital, in 1868, and at this point the city had opened up to international trade and commerce, and was quickly emerging as the most populous city in the world. Japan's large urban population and relative political stability had allowed the city of Tokyo to flourish, and also had allowed Japan to go overseas, looking to join the cool kids in Europe by colonizing other lands. Jumping forward a few decades though, Tokyo suffered from the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923 and the aftermath of World War II, which had flattened much of the city. Post the war though, Tokyo began to experience high rates of economic growth from the 1950s. Its tech sector proved to be extremely successful and has produced many of the household names we're all familiar with across the world. And yes, Tokyo has been a significant hub for Japanese anime, which since the 1980s has had significant international success and back in 2016 was believed to account for 60% of all animated TV shows globally. Which more or less brings us to Tokyo today. So, what is Tokyo like today? How large is its economy? And how well is it likely to fare with the rapidly developing parts of Asia? Tokyo today is a monster of a city, home to more than 37 million people. In other words, Tokyo is more populous than every US state except for California. It's 3 times more populous than London or Paris, and is home to more than 12 times the population of Jamaica. Its scale is so large that it is genuinely difficult for most of us to understand, as the majority of us haven't even stepped foot in a city half its size. Anyway, this huge population has led to Tokyo holding the title as the city with the largest economy for over half a century. Its $1.6 trillion economy would have stood as the 13th largest national economy back in 2018, comparable to the nations of Russia, South Korea, and Spain. So, it's no surprise then that the Japanese capital has made quite a name for itself, beyond featuring in a viral video about the history of Japan. Now, beyond the fact that Tokyo is a megacity on steroids, its economy's manufacturing and services sectors are amongst the most advanced in the world. Like many large developed cities, Tokyo's financial sector is huge in size and influence, and really came into global financial hub status in the economic boom of the 80s. Today, its stock exchange is home to the 3rd highest market valuation. And there are approximately 1,500 financial institutions based in the city alone. Many of Tokyo's financial and insurance firms are based in Otemachi, located in the center of the sprawling city. But Tokyo's economy is a lot more than just housing financial institutions where big city bankers, or megacity bankers, can call money shots like it's the Wolf of Wall Street. You see, unlike many similarly developed alpha cities like New York City, London, and Paris, Tokyo is home to a massive manufacturing base. Tokyo is the industrial leader of Japan, which, as a whole, produces some of the most advanced technologies in use today, much more advanced than t-shirt selling vending machines and butt cleaning toilets. Located in the districts of Chiba, Kawasaki, and Yokohama are the main heavy industries, such as production of transportation equipment and machinery, whereas in Tokyo proper, you'll find light industry like the production of electronic equipment and book printing. So, all sounds good, right? Tokyo is this vast city with a significant economic and financial influence that can even give the New Yorkers and Londoners a run for their money. Well, not so fast. As we'll find out, it's not all fun and games for Tokyoites. To understand the issues facing Tokyo, we need to start by looking at this graph. This graph shows the population decline that has been taking place in Japan over the last decade. And given that the Japanese capital is home to nearly a third of the nation's population, this is a stark warning of things to come for Tokyo. This population stagnation in the last 2 decades is not just a problem for the greedy economists of the world who just constantly want to see GDP expanding, but rather an aging and decreasing population is a real cause of concern for everyone's living standards, young and old. And Tokyo is the first major capital on the front lines of this demographic squeeze. A declining workforce has put more pressure on Tokyo to provide services for its elderly. In fact, Tokyo proper alone in 2015 reported more than 22% of its population being older than 65 years old. And although this is below the Japanese average of 27% reported 2 years later, this still sees Tokyo being classed by the UN as a super-aged society. For the economy though, it's more than just a government budget that's got its hands tied. A working population that relates more closely to the US moon landing than to YouTube and TikTok stars of the 21st century tends to be less creative. And this lack of creativity will continue to seep into Tokyo's companies. It's more likely to lead to fewer risks being taken and fewer high-growth areas of the economy. Furthermore, fewer workers will mean a declining pool of talent for Tokyo's companies to choose from, putting the brakes on expansion for potentially many profitable companies. Despite all these issues though, Tokyo still remains a global center for new advanced technologies that, to some degree, protect the city from competition from emerging Asian hubs that still lack the quantity of highly skilled workers that Tokyo is home to. So, what's the future going to be like for Tokyo's economy? Well, in short, it depends. Tokyo's future depends on the position taken by the Japanese government towards its population decline. Since the main issue facing Tokyo is not that it is lacking sufficient infrastructure, all metro and railway operators in Tokyo's metro area see a combined 41 million daily riders. Rather, Tokyo's ability to further integrate women into its labour market, as well as open up the country to more foreign workers, are the 2 quickest approaches to reduce its rapid population decline, and will be vital in order for Tokyo to maintain its global financial status. Hi everyone, thanks for watching today's video. Let me know if you think Tokyo's population decline is a problem that has come a decade or 2 early, or if you think concerns about it are completely overblown. As always, like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll catch you in the next video. Otherwise, take care. Bye.